Hello, my name's Chris Lovejoy. I'm a junior doctor working in London and a clinical data scientist, and today I'm going to be sharing my experiences at the Cambridge University Hackathon and also a few thoughts about whether someone from a medical background should think about going to hackathons and what they might expect to get out of them. So often when people hear the term hackathon, they think this is some kind of illicit activity where people get together and try and do hacking. But actually, the hacking that goes on at hackathons is less about trying to hack into someone's computer or guess their passwords or break into the FBI database, and more about trying to hack together a solution for some kind of problem. And the problems that can be addressed are very wide-ranging, and it depends a bit on the hackathon that you go to. So as a doctor, I've been going to a few general-purpose hackathons and also a few healthcare-specific hackathons. So the typical structure of a hackathon is a weekend event where you arrive on a Saturday morning, you work on a problem for about 24 hours, through the night usually, get varying amounts of sleep, and then you present the idea on Sunday around lunchtime or in the afternoon, and then whoever comes up with the best solution and has the best demo can win prizes. And in the UK, one of the biggest hackathons is the Cambridge University Hackathon. So I went to that this year, and I just wanted to share some of my experiences with that, and also a few thoughts about whether someone from a medical background should think about going to hackathons and what they might expect to get out of them. So on Friday night, I finished work and then I drove up to my friend's house who I stayed over on Friday night, and I had a quick look through the competition details and just looked at some of the different sponsors and some of the competitions that were going on, and had a quick brainstorm about the kinds of things that I might want to make in the competition, but not really a substantial brainstorm. And one thing I found with hackathons is it's very much okay to just turn up without a strong idea of what you necessarily want to be doing at the hackathon. In that first morning on Saturday, when you're brainstorming, you're going to come up with some good ideas that you end up working on. And I actually find that often you come up with better ideas once you're in that group, because you just continuously iterate through various different ideas over a period of 1, 2, 3 hours on Saturday morning until you come up with something that everyone agrees is a good idea to work on and something that is achievable. And then Saturday morning I woke up and I drove down to the hackathon, and I arrived into this great big hall, the Cambridge Corn Exchange, and it was kitted out, all ready to go, long desks arranged all the way down the hall, and everyone had their laptops out ready to go, and they had a row of snacks at the front so that people could just continuously snack throughout the night. And one downside of going to these kind of hackathons is that often the kinds of food that you're going to eat are not going to be a high standard because it's a lot of snacking. So I had been allocated to a team before I went, but a couple of the team had messaged beforehand saying that they weren't going to come that weekend because they had additional work put on by their supervisor, and the other person just wasn't responding to my messages. So I knew I had to find a team, but I was pretty relaxed about that because often it's pretty easy to find a team on the day. So there was a Slack channel for the hackathon, so I messaged this guy and I told him that I was really interested in doing machine learning applications to healthcare, and he also had the same kind of interest. So we ended up forming a group together and working the weekend on this project. We spent the first few hours brainstorming, so we reeled through a lot of ideas pretty quickly. I'll just read out some of the ones that we came up with. So we thought about making a tool for people with visual impairment, which would take a recording of the surrounding and then give you a description. But one of the reasons we didn't go with this one is because I think that would be a very technically challenging idea to do, and I'm not sure the technology is there yet, and it's probably quite difficult to achieve within a weekend as well. We thought we could make some kind of automated system that will automatically book people in for an asthma checkup or other conditions and then automatically send out follow-up letters, etc. And I think that's something we feasibly could have worked on, but it's not a super interesting idea, so we decided not to go with that one in the end. So one thing that came up was medication mistakes and people not adhering well with medication, which is a significant problem within healthcare generally. And we came up with the idea of making some kind of device which could recognize a pill, and by doing that we could prevent people from making mistakes with their medication by telling them whether or not it's the right pill to take, and also help us to keep a track of medication. So that's the idea that we ended up deciding to go with. So we had a bit more brainstorming about how exactly that idea would work, and then we finalized our idea. So the way that it was going to work is we were going to have an Alexa which someone could talk to and ask them to check whether or not this is the correct pill. The Alexa would then feed into a webcam which would take a picture of the pill, which would then get fed into a machine learning classifier to decide which pill it is based on a database of images of pills. That would then get compared with a medication records which we would pull out of the person's electronic health records, and then it would decide whether or not that's the right medication for them to take at that particular time, and then that would get fed back to the Alexa, which would say yes, you should take the medication, or you shouldn't, and also ask you whether you took it so that it could keep track of the medication for your doctor. So then we divided up the task between the four of us, and initially myself and one other person worked on creating the machine learning algorithm and also creating the physical box that the webcam was going to go on, and the other group started working on the Alexa app. And we kept working on the idea throughout the night, and gradually over the course of the evening, we got the individual components to be working. So you could run the Alexa off someone's laptop, and you could also run the pill classification on another person's laptop. But for a while, they weren't talking together. And one of the challenges that we had with this task was that there were multiple different languages being used, which didn't really communicate well. So we had to spend quite a lot of time enabling them to integrate with each other and therefore getting them to work. And then eventually, around 3 o'clock in the morning, we got them all to work. And so this is a video of the first time our app worked.
Alexa, start the Pill Detector skill.
Welcome to the Pill Detector app. How can I help you today?
Is this my medicine?
That is a paracetamol, the correct pill. Can you confirm that you took it?
Yes, I took it.
And I apologize for the quality because it's not a fantastic video, but it was 4 in the morning. And even at this time, there was still quite a lot of people around in the hall, as you can see. But I was getting pretty tired, so I ended up heading off to get some sleep. And I actually felt a bit bad because a lot of the people were still working. I kind of felt like I was being a bit lazy by going to sleep at 4 a.m. Then this is the area where I slept. I slept from about 4 until 8, and then we got up and had breakfast. And on Sunday, it came to judging. So all throughout the hall, everyone set up what they've been working on at the different desks, and then judges walked around for an initial assessment of all of the things that people had made. So we had lots of different groups of judges, some from Amazon, from TPP, from Arm, from various other companies, and they all talked to us, asked us a bit about our products. And one of the companies that were judging was Arm Technologies. They're one of the biggest producers of computer chips for smartphones. So they quite liked our project, and they decided to give us their prize, and then they invited us to come at a later date to present at their headquarters in Cambridge. So I think there are 3 main benefits for someone from a medical background going to hackathons. So the first one is learning how to code. Coding is a really valuable skill to have these days, and it can open up a huge amount of opportunities and projects for someone in any field, because actually coding is one of those skills that can be combined with pretty much any area and used to add value. So I'm going to link some resources below about good ways to get into coding and why you might think about getting into coding if you haven't done any coding practice before. And hackathons are a really great place to bring your coding experience up a level, because it's an intense weekend where you will continuously be trying to solve things with code, and you'll be in an environment with other people who are also like-minded, and there'll be people with greater coding experience than yourself, and it's a fantastic opportunity for you to just learn and continuously pick up skills from those around you. It's one thing doing online courses in coding, which I would 100% recommend on Code School or Code Academy, but actually the next step is then trying to apply that to real-world problems, and a hackathon is a fantastic opportunity for you to do that. I've personally learned a huge deal from every hackathon I've gone to. I've often learned new libraries to work with, built up my experience very significantly in a very short period of time. And particularly coming from a medical background, I do find that a lot of the people that I hang out with and work with and meet day to day don't have a strong coding background. And in general, it's just super useful to be around other people who can code and who you can learn and get advice from and feedback. The other cool thing is that there's always potential for an idea that you work on at a hackathon to go further. So there's a lot of examples, and I've had friends who've worked on ideas at hackathons and they've ended up maybe winning a prize or getting some positive feedback, and they've decided to go further with it and turn it into a bigger thing. And there's always the potential that that could happen with you, and you might end up working with a group in the long term and coming up with something cool. The third thing is to meet other like-minded people who you could work on in projects that weekend, but you might work with again a year down the line, and they could just be new friends that you make and keep in touch with for a long time. So there's a huge amount of opportunity for that kind of thing as well. So that's everything for this week. I might make video in the future about learning how to code and about how to do well at hackathons and how to make the most of hackathons. If you're interested in that kind of thing, leave a comment below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.